Episode 141, Violet's Gift. Violet's stomach was in knots as she waited for Logan to get home. Logan's name was now being dragged through the mud along with Violet's. Normally, Logan ignored gossip, but after being summoned to see his grandmother, who knew what Logan was thinking? Violet hadn't originally wanted to move in with Logan, but now that she had, she didn't want him to ask her to move out. She didn't want to lose Logan's protection in the fight against the Kingstons. Violet told herself that this was the only reason she didn't want Logan to rescind their agreement. She tried to convince herself that it had nothing to do with the fact that she might be developing feelings for him. Logan hadn't come home last night, and he hadn't called or texted. Violet didn't dare to contact him and cause Logan more problems with Agnes. So instead, she paced and waited. She was restless and hadn't even been able to eat much lunch. That afternoon, Violet was sitting outside trying to focus on the flowers and view when Drake suddenly drove up in a brand new car. It was a deep red color. He honked and waved to Violet as Zoe and Lee ran out to see. The car was full of snacks and toys. Drake asked them to help him carry everything inside. "What's all of this, Drake? Where's Mr. Alexander?" Lee asked with a smile. "Yeah, I haven't seen him in 2 days," Violet said resentfully. Actually, it felt like it had been a century since she last saw Logan. She didn't realize that her words sounded like a wife wondering where her husband was. "Violet, it's been a couple of days since you last saw me too. Don't you miss me and Corey? You only ever ask about Logan." Drake was joking, which made Violet's face turn red. "Nonsense. I want to go back to work. Zoe and Lee don't let me do anything around here. I'm bored to tears." Violet complained. "Mr. Alexander told you to rest, enjoy yourself, watch movies, and read books. You can't ignore his wishes." Lee smiled as she lifted 2 huge teddy bears out of the car. Violet managed a good-natured smile. She knew that the staff meant well, but when she stayed home and didn't do anything all day long, she felt that she was unneeded. Would she be condemned to simply wait at home every day, counting the minutes until Logan returned? "Oh, God," Violet thought to herself. "I've really become a kept woman." Violet was called the estate manager, but the staff would be the ones managing everything and wouldn't let her lift a finger. She didn't want Adam and Amy to one day look down on her, their own mother, because of this role she had assumed. "Mr. Alexander is really quite thoughtful. Just look at all these toys and snacks he bought for Adam and Amy," Zoe exclaimed as she pulled out a tub of blocks and a child-sized art easel. Violet went over to take a look. Logan had bought all of these things for Adam and Amy. She didn't expect Logan to buy all of this for her family. Violet would be lying to herself if she didn't admit that she was quite touched by Logan's thoughtfulness. Drake held the car keys out to Violet. "Huh?" Violet looked at Drake in confusion. "These are for you," Drake said. When Violet continued to give him a blank look, Drake added, "The car, it's for you, Violet, from Logan." Violet was dumbfounded. She rarely drove. She had never used any of the cars in Logan's large garage, and when she went out, Henry would drive her. Why did Logan buy another car? Violet wondered. "And for me." "It's for me?" Violet asked, still not sure she had heard Drake correctly. Drake nodded. "Mr. Alexander said the cars in the garage were not suitable for you to drive, so he got you a new one." Violet didn't know much about cars, but now she carefully studied the car in front of her. Under the sunlight, the car had a dark red luster. It felt strangely familiar, as if it was similar to one of the cars in Logan's garage, but the color was different. "This is too flamboyant," Violet concluded. "One look and you can tell that it was expensive." Mr. Alexander chose this one specifically." Drake shrugged. "I don't care. My job was to bring the car over. Just keep it. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, put it in the garage. Violet looked at the car again. Was Logan thinking straight? She wondered. He must have fallen and hit his head or something. Then a dreadful thought came to her. Was this a parting gift? A thanks for being my mistress party favor as he kicked her to the curb? Although being a mistress was not a good job and was ruining what was left of her reputation, Violet couldn't believe Logan was really dismissing her after such a short time. Haley and Noah would be livid. What should she do? Should Violet discuss it with them? No. They would offer to help her, of course, but she couldn't imagine the scene Haley would make. She'd have no problem letting Logan have it. And Noah did business with Logan. She didn't want to burden her friends. What a disaster this was. Violet's heart was full of worries, but Drake didn't notice. Looking at the time, he said he had to return to the office. If he didn't get back, Corey would start calling him. He placed the keys in Violet's palm and closed her hand around them. Take it. If you have anything to ask Mr. Alexander when he comes back, just ask him. Don't be foolish. Drake still looked out for her. Some of the women at Smith Group were talking about Violet behind her back, but Drake didn't care. Logan wasn't married. Violet wasn't married. He didn't see what the problem was. Drake figured it was just jealousy. Drake had been asked by Corey to compile a list of the worst gossipers, and Corey had issued some reprimands, and the office was much quieter now. If you have nothing to do, ask to come back to work. You are still Mr. Alexander's secretary. He complains all the time that no one can make his coffee like you. Drake winked at her, seemingly implying something. Violet didn't want to dig into the meaning of that wink. She asked Drake if Logan had any social engagements tonight. Drake said that he didn't know. The taxi Drake must have scheduled pulled into the driveway. All right, you can head back. I'll talk to you later, Violet said. After Drake left, Zoe and Lee circled the car a few times. They said it was the first time they had seen Mr. Alexander give someone a car. He never bought Elizabeth a car? Violet thought that he and Elizabeth had been together for 4 years. He had given her a necklace worth $1 million, but he never gave her a car? I don't think so. She was given quite a lot of jewelry, Zoe said. Besides, Elizabeth is only famous because of Mr. Alexander. He's the one who helped finance the launch of her career, and he still helps her land roles. Violet was surprised by this. But then again, Elizabeth went from taking selfies to becoming a big star. The money invested in her must have been substantial. The Kingston family didn't have the ability to finance her career. If Logan hadn't helped her, who else could have? Zoe continued. Elizabeth just sort of showed up one day. No one had seen her with Mr. Alexander prior to that. He really treated her well back then. Later, things cooled down. Lee pushed Zoe's arm and told her not to talk so much. How strange, Violet thought. Elizabeth was not famous before Logan. Under what circumstances had Logan met her? Even if Miranda wanted her daughter to marry into a rich family, 4 years ago, the Kingston family didn't have any connections with the Alexander family. When did he meet her? Violet wondered, not for the first time. And what had Logan seen in Elizabeth? There were a lot of people in the entertainment industry with more talent than Elizabeth. Why did Logan take a fancy to her? Had it been love at first sight? Violet was puzzled by Zoe's revelations. Still, Elizabeth had lasted 4 years and had been given her entire career, courtesy of Logan. Violet, it seemed, wasn't even going to last 4 weeks. If Elizabeth hadn't been able to keep Logan after all that time, how could Violet hope to? Episode 142. The Same Smile. Violet spent the rest of the afternoon thinking about Elizabeth and Logan. She was becoming even more curious about the last 4 years and how the two of them had come to be together. Still, the day dragged on, and Violet was anxious to speak to Logan. That night, Logan finally returned. As he pulled into the courtyard, he saw Violet and the children playing through the living room window. Laughter rippled out, and the porch lights emitted a warm glow. The place was full of life. It made Logan think of the rare warmth he had felt when he was young. His parents had rarely gotten along, so the few times that they all spent time together as a family was rare and precious memories. Logan got out of the car and eagerly bounded up the front steps. Adam and Amy probably heard him coming, as he could hear their pounding feet heading towards the front door. Zoe opened up the door for Logan, and Amy jumped into Logan's arms the moment she saw him. He picked her up and carried Amy while being pulled into the house by Adam. Anyone who saw the three of them would think they were a father and his children being reunited. "You're back." Violet felt a little shy. Amy was really acting spoiled, hanging on Logan and talking nonstop. Violet remembered that when she was young, she had also acted like this with her father. But Logan and Amy were not father and daughter. She did not understand why Amy was so clingy with Logan. Even Adam's eyes lit up when he saw Logan. "What have you been doing at home these last 2 days?" Logan looked at Violet. She was wearing white loungewear and a pair of white furry slippers, and her hair was tied up loosely. Her skin was fair, and under the light, it seemed to reflect the luster of pearls. Logan could not help rubbing his fingers together, as if he was anticipating the touch of her skin. Logan thought this must be what it was like to hunger for someone. "I've been unoccupied. I have nothing to do. I'd like to go back to the office, actually." Violet followed behind them towards the sofa. "Then why didn't you go?" Logan asked. "Corey said that there are a lot of rumors going around. He asked me to stay home." Violet replied in a low voice. "Mommy, what are rumors?" Amy tilted her head. "It's just some things people at work say. You don't need to worry about these things," Violet explained to Amy. "Then why are you worrying about them, Mommy?" Adam did not understand. "You are right, Adam. I'm being silly. Only a fool would care." "Mommy, you are not a fool." Amy quickly corrected her mother. "I hope not." Logan gave Violet a roguish smile. "Of course I am not a fool," Violet hurriedly explained. "Mommy just wanted to discuss it with Uncle Logan. Sweetie, can you not listen when the grown-ups are talking?" "But children also have the right to know," Amy said with a pout. "The right to know about what? Who told you that?" Violet asked. "Noah." Noah was a lawyer. He liked to talk about legal stuff when he talked to the children. It didn't matter if they could understand it or not. Violet didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Your godfather finally taught you something useful, I see." Logan smirked at Violet. "What do you mean, useful? Logan, don't say that. Do you like to see me suffer?" Logan laughed. No. It's just that the children like knowing the truth." Violet glared at Logan, but seeing the two twins giggling secretively, how could she bear to get angry? She could only laugh along with them. Forget it. She was not going to have a legal scuffle with her own children. "Anyway, you shouldn't let all the gossip bother you, Violet. Why should we care what other people are saying? You should consider yourself lucky. When everyone is talking about you, it means you've officially made it." "Hey, shh. Don't say all of this in front of the children." Violet didn't want them to ask any more questions. "What's wrong with that?" It's good for the kids to hear adult conversations. It builds character. Logan shrugged, unconvinced. You've got the most twisted logic. Violet smiled helplessly. Did you like the car? Logan looked at her. Violet blushed. I don't need it. I can't use it. Why waste your money? This time, even behind her ears was turning red. To be honest, she had never received a gift from a man before. Even with Lionel, it was always her who had given him presents. It hadn't bothered Violet at the time because Lionel's family wasn't in a good financial situation. But looking back, they had known each other for 10 years, and it seemed odd he'd never even given her flowers. Guess that summed up that relationship. Violet thought. Isn't the point of earning money to spend it? Logan replied. This car will be more convenient for you. The others in my garage are not suitable for you. I got the latest model. If you don't like it, we can change it. But I chose that color, especially for you. Logan liked Violet's skin very much. There were no flaws at all. It was just like porcelain. He thought it would look even more beautiful against the red of the car. No need. The car is fine. Violet did not know why she had initially tried to reject it. It turned out that Drake hadn't lied. It really was Logan who had chosen it. Since that was the case, she might as well enjoy it. She could take Adam and Amy places. She could drive by herself and give Henry a break. It really was a thoughtful gift. A kind of inexplicable contentment washed over Violet. Have you eaten? Logan rubbed Adam's head. I haven't eaten. I was waiting for Uncle Logan. Amy hugged Logan's neck. Violet asked her to get down and stop bothering Uncle Logan. Uncle Logan is very tired after work. Come, sit with me and I'll cuddle with you. Logan carried her to sit with him on the sofa. Amy hugged his neck even tighter. Violet tried correcting Amy again, but Logan said that if the child wanted to be cuddled, he would cuddle. What can I say, Violet? Amy likes me. Why are you jealous? Logan smiled devilishly at her. What would I be jealous of? I have Adam to cuddle. Violet hugged Adam and made a face at Amy. Mommy is naughty. Amy pouted and looked at Adam hugging Violet's waist. Then she hugged Logan tighter. Who would have ever thought that Amy and Logan would grow so close? Violet watched them. They pressed their foreheads together so Amy could whisper secrets to Logan. All right, time to eat, Violet said. Logan looked up and smiled at Violet. Violet looked at Logan at that moment and felt that his expression was inexplicably familiar. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up. Violet looked at her son beside her and then back at her smiling boss. They had the same smile and the same dimple. Episode 143. What do you have against rich people? Violet looked at Logan, then looked at her son. She was stunned silent. She couldn't get over how similar their smiles were. Violet shook her head, trying to clear her thoughts. Her mind was racing. What was she thinking? She was acting nuts. Violet rubbed her temples. Seeing Violet's sudden change in mood, Logan quickly asked, What's wrong? Oh, it's nothing. I just suddenly felt a headache coming on. Violet said, Do you want me to call the doctor? You look pale. Logan observed with concern. No need, really. It's okay. It's just a headache. I'm probably just hungry. Let's eat dinner. Violet gave him a quick smile to reassure him. Seeing that Logan was still looking at her funny, she pushed him towards the dining room. "It's not a big deal. Let's just go eat. We're all hungry." "Did you not eat lunch?" Logan was not satisfied with Violet's excuses. He had not imagined her expression a few moments ago. Violet had looked at him like she'd seen a ghost. There must be a reason. Yes, that's it. I just didn't eat any lunch. Let's eat." Adam and Amy liked it when it was the four of them. They liked that their mother and Uncle Logan were getting along. It had been a long time since their mother had been happy. It would be great if she could always be so happy. As for Violet, she was chatting animatedly because she wanted Logan to forget what had happened a few minutes ago. She had just been imagining things. That was all. Violet asked Logan a bunch of questions about the office to change the subject. She also made a point of eating a big serving of lasagna, so Logan wouldn't think she wasn't eating because she didn't like Zoe's cooking and scold her. "If you are so interested in what's going on at the office, you should just come back to work," Logan said. Violet started to protest. "But Corey, do you take orders from Corey or me?" Logan frowned. "You, of course, you." Violet answered without hesitation. What a foolish thing to say. Logan was the boss, and whatever he says goes. Logan rolled his eyes at Violet and turned to see what Adam and Amy were chattering about. After dinner, Violet went to the playroom to tidy up the toys and snacks that Drake had delivered earlier. Logan and the twins were talking in the study, and he even played chess with Adam. Violet did not expect Logan to be so patient as he explained the rules to Adam, and she felt warmth around her heart as she watched them. Logan came out of his study as Violet was returning from putting the children to bed. Seeing him, she said, "Thank you for buying so many things for Adam and Amy today. You know you don't have to do that." "Yes, but I wanted to. And besides, it's just money." Logan shrugged. Says the billionaire, "You know, most people have to worry about money. Not everyone is rich." Violet replied, "You're rich." Logan, seeing that she had put the children to bed, slowly started steering Violet towards his bedroom. "Only on paper, and even if I had access to my inheritance, I still wouldn't be as rich as you. And besides, I need to get my shares to do right by my grandfather. It's not about the money. I don't care about being rich." Violet replied, "What do you have against rich people? What have they ever done to you?" Logan smiled playfully. Violet wasn't amused and then told Logan about being almost hit by an expensive car that rainy night 4 years ago. "Even a poor man would have driven off. It's not because the guy had an expensive car. Are you sure he even saw you? Maybe if it was raining, he didn't even know what happened." "Do you really think he didn't see me? How could he just leave me for dead in the rain? He didn't even call 911. Violet thought that if it was not for Noah, she might have frozen to death on the road that day. If she had known what Logan's reaction would be, she would not have told him. She should have known. He was rich. Rich people defended each other. 4 years ago, on a rainy day, a rich person drove away. The more Logan heard, the more familiar Violet's story became. He felt that the scene she described was familiar. He didn't want to hear any more, so he purposely made it out to be nothing, even though he could tell it was making Violet angry. They had reached his room, and he headed to the shower. To distract Violet, Logan asked her to rub his back. Soon, Violet did not have the time to argue any more about the cold-bloodedness of rich people. The warm-blooded male in front of her was more interested in her body. Logan was very good at distracting her, and Violet soon forgot what they were arguing about as her own blood heated. Soon, neither was thinking of anything at all. Afterward, Violet, who was so tired that she was about to collapse, was about to drift off to sleep when she noticed the contentment on Logan's face. He looked so relaxed. Seeing he was in a good mood, she remembered her concerns of earlier today about Logan and Elizabeth's history. So Violet mustered up her courage and asked Logan how he and Elizabeth had met. Logan's face immediately darkened, his smile vanishing. He stared at her intensely for a long time. "That has nothing to do with you." Logan's voice was as cold as ice, making Violet shiver. He turned away from Violet, giving her his back, and said nothing more. Violet hesitated for a while, but decided she dare not say anything else. Honestly, Violet found Logan's reaction quite strange. What was there that should not be said? She had asked how he met an ex-girlfriend. Violet thought he might be annoyed and say she was being nosy, but she hadn't expected this icy reaction. She curled herself into the blanket and thought for a long time. That night, even though Logan was inches away, Violet slept alone. The next morning, Violet was still asleep when Logan woke up. He quietly slipped from the bed and headed to the gym. As he pounded out his frustrations on the treadmill, Logan thought about last night. Why did Violet want to know about Elizabeth? She couldn't know something, could she? The incident with Elizabeth caused Logan to feel deep shame. At the same time, he had wanted to know who the woman was, but it had not been the same feeling as before. He had never felt anything for Elizabeth since that first night, and even now, he still couldn't completely cut her off out of guilt. How could he ever have the nerve to tell anyone what happened, especially Violet? She'd never speak to him again. No, he would take what had happened that night to his grave. He didn't see Violet before he left for work, and he was glad. As Logan drove to the office, his thoughts turned to the whispered conversation he had with Adam and Amy in the study last night. "We secretly came back here to find Daddy," Amy whispered in Logan's ear. "Daddy?" Logan was caught off guard for a moment. He had grown so attached to the children that he had almost forgotten that they had their own biological father. How could they not? He was a bit jealous of that man. However, according to Corey's investigation, Violet's children were born in London. From what he'd heard Elizabeth and Chloe say over the years, he could tell that the children had been conceived here, and that's why Violet had left. However, the result of Corey's investigation indicated that Violet hadn't dated any man in Los Angeles, other than her childhood sweetheart, Lionel, and they had never slept together. So did the Kingston family know who the children's father was? Did Violet even know? From Noah's account, she didn't seem to, but Adam and Amy really wanted to know who their father was. They insisted on coming back to the U.S. to look for him. These thoughts made Logan inexplicably excited. If all of this was true, then other than Adam and Amy's father, he was the only man Violet had been with. A wave of possessive satisfaction went through Logan. He was the only man who had ever been in Violet's life. He found that the idea of continuing to take care of her and the children didn't scare him. In fact, if things continued as they were going, he quite liked the idea.
Episode 144, Investigations. Logan was curious about Adam and Amy's father, and Violet's relationship with the man. Logan asked Corey to come to his office. Logan explained that he wanted him to investigate why Violet had left the country. Before she left, what had happened to the Kingston family? "Are you sure?" Corey was a little worried. He wasn't sure his boss would want to know the answers he discovered, or deal with the repercussions of those answers. There just wasn't the Kingstons to worry about, but Agnes, too. "Just do what I tell you. Why are you questioning me?" Logan frowned. "I'm just worried." He had recruited Violet. If Agnes made things difficult for her, he would feel bad. And if the conflict between Agnes and Logan was because of Violet, he would feel as if he was to blame. There's nothing to worry about. Get Drake to help you with this. Logan tried to light a fire under him. Corey had no choice but to accept Logan's assignment. The boss wanted answers, and he wanted them now. Corey tried not to stress about it. He would just go and investigate. Maybe things would be fine. He liked Violet and didn't want to cause problems between her and Logan. But Logan was the boss. A short time later, Violet called to tell Logan that Adam and Amy would be going to shoot the ads for Garrett today. "You're still going to do that?" Logan asked. Could it be that Garrett was up to something? Logan thought again of his whispered conversation with the twins last night. They had said that they wanted to earn money and ask someone to help them find their father. Then they had asked if they could pay Uncle Logan to find their dad. On the one hand, Logan was proud of the trust the two children had in him, but on the other hand, he felt jealous that they would make such a request of him. They were just little kids, so they didn't know that Logan had complicated feelings about their father. If Logan ever did find the man, well, Logan didn't dare to imagine that scene. "Yes, Anna came by the house," Violet answered Logan. "She said that she was very happy with the results last time, so she wanted a few more photos." Anna had come over to personally make the request. Violet remembered the awkwardness between Anna and Garrett the last time she saw her at the banquet. Violet wanted to help Anna. No matter what, Anna had been very kind to her children. Anna was a little flaky, but her heart was in the right place, and Violet wanted to repay her kindness. Logan didn't like the thought of Violet and the children around Garrett. Anna didn't feel the same way about Garrett as Logan. She actually liked the man. However, at the end of the day, Anna was his younger sister, so she should be on his side if push came to shove. The relationship between Violet and him should be obvious to Anna, so she would not help Garrett. Logan was probably just overthinking things. They wanted more photos and didn't want to replace the twins. They'd already committed, so it wouldn't be right to leave Anna hanging. Logan wouldn't complain, but he would be careful. "Okay, but let Henry drive you. And I want Mike to go with you as well," Logan insisted. Mike was one of Logan's bodyguards. Violet didn't think that was really necessary. Still, given their past experiences at photo shoots, she didn't complain. When Violet agreed, Logan also thought of the previous incident. Corey had looked into it and found Chloe at the premises. When Logan was injured saving the children, he left the set in a rush. Corey was almost certain that Chloe was the one who was behind the whole thing. It was just that there was no conclusive evidence. After hanging up with Violet, Logan instructed Corey to also go back and review the footage from the incident at the photo shoot. Then he dismissed Corey with a wave so he could do some work. Corey instructed Drake to pull up the surveillance footage from the photo shoot so they could look at it again. They only saw a change in the middle of the staff manning the cart. Chloe came from the film set entrance and entered the underground parking lot. When she came out, she seemed to say a few words to the staff on the road and stopped a few times in the middle of it. However, Chloe did not seem to have had any contact with the staff pushing the cart. "It's hard to tell what's going on, but I still think she's very suspicious," Corey said to Drake. Drake had to agree with Corey. "Yes, I don't think Chloe is as innocent as she appears." Violet was back, and the Kingston family wanted to kill her. How messed up is that? Corey was deep in thought. He shared with Drake that Logan had asked him to look into what happened in the Kingston family prior to Violet's departure, but he was worried about stirring things up. "The boss asked you to look into this, so that's what you need to do." Drake frowned, then added, "Anyway, I'm Team Violet no matter what. She's had a rough time and still managed to raise such great kids. That must have been so hard on her." "You're right, but Elizabeth was right too." Corey trailed off, not finishing his thought out loud. "What happened with Elizabeth anyways?" Drake asked. "I'm not really sure," Corey deflected. "But Logan can't just keep handing her film projects forever." "You're always complaining about Elizabeth," Drake said. "I am complaining about our boss. There are a lot of actresses out there, much more talented than Elizabeth," Corey replied, then took a sip from his bottled water. "Then I'm curious. Why does the boss keep up that fake relationship with Elizabeth anyways?" Drake asked. Corey almost spits out his water. "Fake?" Corey widened his eyes. "Is it that obvious?" "Really, Corey?" Drake rolled his eyes. "Of course. Anyone with 2 eyes can see that Logan wants nothing to do with Elizabeth. Yet, he's kept up the charade for 4 years. I just don't get it. He could have any woman. Wait." Drake turned to Corey with wide eyes. "What?" Corey asked. Drake looked as if he had uncovered some great secret. He looked at Logan's office door and saw that it was closed. No one would hear him. Still, he lowered his voice and whispered to Corey, "Do you think the boss is gay? That Elizabeth is like his beard?" "Really, Drake?" Now it was Corey's turn to roll his eyes. "But that would explain why he's acting this way." Drake was still unconvinced. "First of all," Corey replied, "Logan likes women, especially beauties like Violet. Second, even if he was gay, so what? Other than Agnes worrying about heirs, it wouldn't be some dark secret nowadays. Third, Logan has never announced in public his relationship with Elizabeth. It was all those media outlets that made up the relationship between the two of them, and he just never denied it." "I'm just trying to figure out their dynamic," Drake replied. "If the boss is not gay, not that there's anything wrong with that, of course, then why is he still involved with Elizabeth?" "I mean, I get it. Violet is hot," Drake continued, "and the boss definitely seems attracted to her. But if he likes Violet, then it's even weirder that he still hasn't cut all ties with Elizabeth. What is he waiting for?" Episode 146. I found the perfect person. Violet's head was still reeling from her sudden new job recruitment. She certainly hadn't expected that she would be captured to work with Lori Group today. Violet was actually quite amused by the whole situation. How did she seem to always get herself into these predicaments? Violet could not wait to relay the story to Haley. Her new boss, Ms. Haley St. James, was going to die of laughter when she heard about this. Violet continued to chuckle to herself until she remembered how her real boss, Logan, was going to react to the news that she was working for Garrett. Nope, Violet thought. This news definitely was not going to go down well with Logan. He hated Garrett, after all. Of course, Violet could always just not tell Logan. Violet decided this would be the easiest way to handle this. Why get Logan all riled up? Adam and Amy would probably not finish shooting until 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. By the time she saw Logan later, her job would be over, and he'd be none the wiser. Violet decided she best stop worrying about Logan and get to work. Violet settled herself at the desk and opened the script to take a look. She cleared her throat and started to read slowly. Violet's sweet and slightly raspy voice sounded good. She was a natural. There were about 5 or 6 offices in the portion of the building where Violet was working. When Violet began to read through the script, the man in an office across the hall raised his head. He was an older gentleman with an artistic demeanor. The hair at his temples had gone white, and his face was slightly pale. As the man continued to listen to Violet, he furrowed, then relaxed his brows as he leaned back against the chair and stroked his chin in deep thought. He thought Violet's voice was simply heavenly. If she could sing, well, any music sung by that voice would be played everywhere. No matter how much money was needed to make this happen, someone should be willing to spend it. The man thought her voice would be perfect for the song he was producing for Lori Group. It was understated, rich, gentle, and graceful. One could hear that it was silky smooth, and her voice had an ethereal sound with a hint of raspiness. This voice was heaven sent. He decided he had to look for the owner of the voice. He wanted her standing in front of him. The man quickly pressed the intercom button on his desk. Meanwhile, in the studio, Anna was watching Adam and Amy's photo shoot. When her cell rang, she saw that it was Garrett, and her heart leapt with joy. Anna looked at the two children and saw that they were doing fine, so she said to hold on and retreated to the corner for some privacy. She just happened to bump into Mike, who was carrying some bottles of water. He asked Anna where Violet had gone. "Maybe she went to the restroom or outside for some fresh air," Anna said. "Don't worry, I'm sure she's fine. The studio hired tons of extra security for this shoot." After what happened the last time, the film studio complex had learned its lesson. They had secured the entrances to make it much more difficult to enter or exit the premises. Mike nodded his head. Seeing that Anna was on the phone, he indicated that he would watch over the twins. "I'll go and find Violet when you come back," Mike said. Anna found a quiet corner where she could talk to Garrett. Garrett first asked where she was and who she had been talking to. Anna answered happily. She was excited that Garrett was showing interest in her. Anna hoped he would be jealous that he'd heard her talking to another man just now. But instead, Garrett just launched into a discussion about work. Anna needed to have a good talk with Garrett. Recently, she'd heard that Elizabeth was a woman with a lot of dark secrets. Anna wanted to warn Garrett not to let that woman deceive him. "You are in the south of the city?" Garrett's tone was quite anxious. They hadn't seen each other for a few days. Did he miss her? Didn't he already know that she was in the south of the city since she had said she was at the studio? Why did Garrett sound so anxious? Anna hoped that one day Garrett would confess that he had always just pretended to be indifferent to her. Anna was sure he had feelings for her, but wouldn't admit it. Only now did a smile appear on Anna's face after her sadness of the past few days. Anna sweetly said into the phone, "Why? Do you miss me, Garrett? You haven't contacted me in days. I suppose you were focused on Elizabeth. Have you been spending all your time with your big star?" She pouted. Actually, if Anna had wanted it, she could have also become a big star. She had the looks and the connection to make it happen. But Agnes and Logan would never support her going into that line of work. Anna's own mother, Katie, had been an unambitious woman. She'd never really done much with her life. Although Anna's biological father had passed away, the Alexander family had treated her and her mother fairly. They had provided for them, and they had always lived quite comfortably. Anna's only regret was that Katie had never earned Agnes's approval. Without that approval, Anna would always remain a bit of an outsider in the Alexander family. Katie had been Logan's father's mistress. When Katie met Christopher, she was just an average young woman. She'd graduated from an average university and had average talent. The average company she worked for did some business with Smith Group, and Katie had ended up having a lot of contact with Christopher. Who wouldn't be interested in a mature, handsome, and well-off man who was definitely not from an average family? Katie had known that Christopher was married, but she hadn't expected their affair to last very long. And then Katie got pregnant. So when Christopher passed away, both mother and daughter were taken in by the Alexander family. Although her mother had never been accepted, Anna was an Alexander by blood. Anna wanted to acknowledge her heritage and be with her family. Even though Katie's connection to the family was awkward, Anna's life with the Alexanders had been fair, if not especially affectionate. She felt lucky nonetheless. Her mother had always thought Logan seemed like such a sad child. He never smiled. When Anna thought about that now, she felt guilty. She wondered if it was because of the situation with her and her mother that Logan had had such a sad childhood. Anna really needed to talk to Logan about their history, but she was a little afraid of her brother. One of these days, she'd find the courage. Of course, the biggest stumbling block to a better relationship with her brother was currently on the phone with her. Logan had repeatedly told Anna to stay away from Garrett. She and Garrett had known each other since they were kids. Their social circles were similar. She knew about the strained relationship between the Gardners and Alexanders, but Anna just couldn't seem to help herself when it came to Garrett. Anna sometimes feared that the only reason Garrett paid any attention to her was that she was an Alexander. Still, that had never stopped her from wanting him. However, today, Garrett called not to talk about their relationship, but for work. He ignored Anna's question about Elizabeth and instead fired off a work question of his own. "Do you remember the singer we were looking for before, for the theme song?" Garrett asked Anna. "For the period piece. Sure, I remember," Anna said. "No one on your current roster of singers was a good fit. Didn't you say that the studio was going to hold open auditions?" "There's no need for that now," Garrett replied, noticeable excitement in his voice. "I've found the perfect person." Episode 147. Help me, Anna. Anna was excited when Garrett told her that they had found the perfect person to sing the theme song for Laurie Group's new period drama. She knew Garrett had been trying to find someone for a long time, as the producer on the project had rejected every singer on their current talent roster. Garrett had been growing increasingly frustrated by the whole situation. The perfect person just showed up out of nowhere. Garrett could not hide his excitement. "That's such good news, Garrett," Anna replied. Whoever it was, Anna knew that this would be the kind of opportunity that would rocket them to fame. "Don't doubt it. It's true. But I need your help, Anna, to make this happen." Garrett was being deliberately vague. "What do you need me to do? You know I'm always ready to help you in any way I can." She had to meet the virtuoso who could make their picky producer fall in love with them. If it was a newcomer to the industry, they would definitely have a bright future ahead of them. "I don't know who it is yet, but I got a call saying they were at the studio. Since you're already there, I need you to track them down right away. There's no time to waste. You can be my representative. I'll be heading there soon." Garrett had no problem trusting Anna with these kinds of tasks. After all, this was the way they had operated for more than 10 years. He was used to relying on Anna to get things done for him. "But I still have things to do here." Anna needed to keep an eye on Adam and Amy. She looked around for Violet but didn't see her anywhere. "What else could you possibly be doing that's more important than what I need?" Garrett was only half joking. "You are more familiar with this project than anyone else there. Help me, Anna. Please." When Garrett softened his tone and asked her so nicely, Anna couldn't refuse him anything. Still, a woman had to take her opportunities when they came. So Anna asked, "Is it really that important?" She leaned against the doorframe and asked proudly, "Do you need me to step in? No one else can do this for you." "Of course. I don't trust anyone else with this but you," Garrett replied. "Why don't you get Elizabeth to help you?" Anna sniffed. "Don't go there, Anna," Garrett warned. "She's not as good to me as you are. I only trust you." Anna didn't want to anger him, but as she opened her mouth to agree to help him, Garrett spoke again. "Do this for me, and I'll take you to dinner later," Garrett said in a low voice. "Alone? Just the two of us?" she asked. "Whatever you want." Garrett actually agreed without any hesitation. It seemed like this was really important to him. Still, Anna felt the need to push him a little more. "But the last time you offered to take me on a date to the Kingston's banquet, you ended up chasing after Elizabeth the whole time," Anna pouted. She felt wronged, but she really had no recourse with Garrett. They weren't a couple. She could only act coy and complain, hoping that the man would understand her true feelings. "Listen, I know you, Anna. You're going to help me with this," Garrett said confidently. "Now, go find this person for me and forget about other women. Why do you always compare yourself to others?" Anna felt good being singled out from other women. She just hoped Elizabeth was in the category of others. Anna felt slightly better. Garrett told Anna where she could find his music producer. "So, are you leaving for the studio now?" Anna was starting to annoy Garrett. Why was she being so demanding? Normally a few compliments from Garrett and Anna would have been appeased by now. Why did all the members of the Alexander family have to get on his nerves? "You miss me that much?" Garrett struggled to hold back the irritation in his voice. His grandmother was always telling him a little patience always paid off. So he indulged and teased Anna a bit longer, even though he just wanted to hang up. Anna knew Garrett was teasing her, but she couldn't help her heart beating faster. She nodded her head vigorously, saying that, yes, she missed him very much. "Well then, hurry up and do what I've asked. Then, I will take you to dinner," Garrett replied. "Really?" Anna just couldn't believe her luck. "Yes, now go." Garrett looked at Elizabeth, who was looking at something on her phone. He lazily uncrossed his legs and leaned back in his office chair. He threw his phone on the desk and stood up to take Elizabeth home. "I have to go," Garrett told her. "Oh, do you have to work?" Elizabeth was a little stunned that she was being dismissed, but kept her composure. "Yes and no." "What do you mean?" Elizabeth's expression was somber. "We've been seen together too much recently. My secretary just sent me a message saying that there are paparazzi following us everywhere. Over time, this will blow over." Yeah. Elizabeth's original intention was not really to date Garrett. If she did not show a sense of propriety, Logan would be furious, and she would have no chance with him. It would be a double loss. Still, Elizabeth had hoped that Garrett kept pursuing her so that Logan would not give up, if for no other reason than to beat Garrett. Elizabeth smiled sweetly and twisted her thin waist. She picked up the handbag on the sofa and stood opposite Garrett. "Can I come over any time?" she asked in a soft voice. "Of course. If my position at Lorry Group can help your career, then all you have to do is ask." "So you want to keep working together?" she asked. "Yes. And just so you know, my personal feelings for you are also sincere." Garrett gave Elizabeth a meaningful look. How do I know you're telling the truth?" Elizabeth teased. "You men always say one thing and do another. Show me you're sincere." "And has Logan been sincere?" Garrett questioned. "He's your brother. You shouldn't talk about him like that. It's not—" Garrett cut Elizabeth off. "Listen, when a man pursues a woman he wants, he doesn't care about brothers or friends. It's the same for you women." "Us women? What does that mean?" Elizabeth asked, smiling. "I don't understand." Garrett looked at her. "Well, aren't you Kingston ladies the best example of all's fair in love and war? I don't see you worrying too much about being Violet's cousin as you compete for the same man." Episode 148. The Famous Violet. Garrett was surprised that Elizabeth didn't see that she and her cousin Violet were no different than him and his brother Logan. When you wanted someone, You didn't care about anyone else, even if they were family. All's fair in love and war, and all that. The faint fragrance of Elizabeth's perfume made Garrett frown. He took a step back. I still don't understand what you mean, Elizabeth told Garrett. I'm talking about you and your cousin competing for Logan's affections. What happened between Chloe, Lionel, and Violet is another example of the Kingston women competing for a man, Garrett added. As he spoke, Garrett reached out his hand and wrapped a lock of Elizabeth's hair around his finger, gently playing with her curl. He brushed his thumb against Elizabeth's earlobe, and she suppressed a shiver. You're really beautiful, Garrett told her. Being praised as beautiful pleased Elizabeth, but she still felt compelled to explain to Garrett that even though she had said that Violet seduced Logan, she was just bad-mouthing them. She couldn't let everyone think that Logan and Violet were actually a couple. Violet is just Logan's employee. There's no competition. That's just the press talking. If you say so, I guess I think too much. Let's not talk about these unpleasant things. Shall I drive you home? Garrett asked. You don't have another date, do you? Elizabeth narrowed her eyes playfully at him. No, it's just work. Garrett smiled and didn't elaborate. He gently pulled Elizabeth along and walked her outside. He acted the gentleman and kept her close. His assistant followed them out, and Garrett told him he could leave. I'll take Miss Kingston home personally, Garrett told his assistant. As he opened the car door for Elizabeth, Garrett had driven himself today. Elizabeth enjoyed Garrett's attentiveness very much. She looked at the time and remembered she wanted to meet Philly, so she asked Garrett to drop her off at the clubhouse. Garrett raised his eyebrows. That place was not what it appeared to be. On the surface, it was a high-end club, but in fact it was a pretty sleazy establishment. Did Elizabeth realize this? Or was she being played? Garrett didn't ask her directly. He just asked Elizabeth who she was meeting. Oh, just a friend. Elizabeth was purposely vague with Garrett. Let him wonder if she was meeting a man. Garrett frowned. Ah, so I see you're moving on already. You didn't want to date me at all, is that it? Elizabeth covered her mouth and smiled playfully. Guess, Elizabeth said with a coy giggle. I don't want to guess. I'm afraid I'll be disappointed. Garrett gave her his best hurt look. It's hard to guess what you women are thinking. More difficult to guess what I'm thinking than that little girlfriend of yours. Elizabeth was a little jealous of Anna. Elizabeth would be happy to leave Anna in tears as she snatched Garrett away from Anna's grip. At the mention of Anna, Garrett wondered how Anna was doing with the singer. Now distracted, he did not ask Elizabeth anything else, and they drove the rest of the way in silence. Garrett pulled up to the valet entrance to drop Elizabeth off. After helping her out and giving her a quick kiss on the cheek, he left. Why was he suddenly in such a hurry, Elizabeth wondered. What was going on? He better not be running off to meet Anna. With Logan, Elizabeth had tried so hard with no success. She was hoping to regain some confidence with men through Garrett. She certainly didn't want to keep competing with other women for a man's affections. By the time Garrett arrived at the studio, Anna had already discovered the singer's identity. She rushed over to meet Garrett near the studio doors. Although Garrett was inconsistent with his attention to her, Anna would always prioritize him ahead of everything else. Anna spoke breathlessly. Oh my gosh, Garrett, you're never gonna believe this. The perfect person they found for the song is actually Violet. Garrett was indeed surprised. Seriously? Yep, I don't think we can make this happen, Anna added. There is no way my brother will ever let Violet sign a contract with Lori Group, and Violet won't ever agree to this either. She has no interest in the entertainment industry or being famous. She had enough of the press talking about her as it is. Violet values her privacy too much. Garrett and Anna went to wait outside the office where the negotiations with Violet were taking place. Garrett was very irritated. Here he had thought they had found a solution, and now they would have to start all over. All their other options were so uninspired. But Violet was different. Violet gave Garrett a very good feeling. He knew there was fire and passion behind Violet's serene exterior. Violet was not the kind of woman who had an easy life or a boring life. She had experienced hardships, and her eyes were still filled with a love for life. There was even a desire that he hadn't seen before there. This desire stirred Garrett. Violet was like a flower erupting out of the snow. She should have grown in a beautiful garden, but instead she was nearly destroyed by the snow. It made her even more attractive in his eyes. "So, you're the famous Violet?" Violet looked at the man with the white brows sitting across from her. Clearly he was older than her, maybe late 50s. One look and she could tell that he was someone important in the entertainment industry. There was an air of superiority about him. Violet had been shocked when he'd burst into the office earlier wanting to discuss a contract to become a singer. Why did everyone keep offering her new job offers today? "I have no desire to be famous," Violet politely replied. When the word famous had come out of his mouth, Violet had immediately turned bright red. People knew who she was because of her scandal with Logan. She was Logan's secretary, the woman who was rumored to have seduced him into her bed. It seemed a new story was published every minute online, supposedly exposing some new twist in her scandal with Logan. There were photos, videos, and posts about them all over the internet. She was not surprised that even this famous music producer knew who she was. The stories were too salacious to ignore. Violet knew that by him saying that she was famous, what the man actually meant was that Violet was infamous. Episode 145. What are you waiting for? Corey told Drake to stop speculating about the boss's love life and get to work on the investigations Logan had ordered. Corey, of course, knew why Logan couldn't cut Elizabeth loose easily, but he wasn't going to share that information with Drake. Corey knew Logan felt shame over what had happened with Elizabeth on that absurd night 4 years ago. Logan didn't want to be with Elizabeth. He had never wanted to be with Elizabeth. But his conscience couldn't quite let him cut ties with her completely yet. Now that Logan had Violet, Corey figured it was just a matter of time until this business with Elizabeth was completely done. Until then, he hoped that Violet understood that she actually had a real chance with Logan. Corey had been Logan's right-hand man at Smith Group since he had taken over the company. He had never seen his boss care so much about a woman before. Logan may not even fully realize it himself yet, but Corey knew Violet was different. Even if the boss went to a meeting after arguing with Violet, he still would not drink the coffee if Violet hadn't made it. In order to ensure her safety, he had her and her children move in with him. There was dependence and indulgence. No woman had ever received the same treatment from Logan. Since the boss had asked him to investigate what had happened with Violet before she left Los Angeles, then he would investigate it. But before that, Corey still had to get evidence against Chloe so she could pay for what she'd done. The Kingstons had links to some serious unsavory characters, and he had no doubt that they would use them if needed in the fight against Violet. Logan, because of his connection to Elizabeth, hadn't wanted to see before what the Kingstons were capable of. But after the incident at the photo shoot, where Logan himself had been injured, he couldn't ignore the threat members of the Kingston family now posed. Corey would have to figure out a way to get the evidence he needed. Chloe and the rest of the Kingstons had to be stopped. With Logan's permission, Violet accompanied Adam and Amy to the photo shoot. The photo set was buzzing with energy, and there was a sea of people. Anna let Henry park the car near the entrance and then escorted them all inside. Mike followed Violet in, and she didn't object. It made Logan happy, and he hadn't complained about them coming today, so it was the least she could do. The safety of the children was the most important thing after all. "Why are there so many people today?" Violet asked Anna. "Auntie Anna, I see so many pretty ladies." Amy was excited and twisted her body to look at the bustling crowd all around her, even though Violet was holding her hand. Anna was feeling really low because of Garrett and Elizabeth's recent headlines. The photos of them together looking intimate had crushed Anna. Hearing Amy's question, she looked around the studio as if noticing all the people for the first time. Violet could tell that Anna was depressed. Adam also noticed. He took Anna's hand and asked if Aunt Anna would accompany them to take their photos later. "Yes, Auntie Anna, come with us. We're nervous with all these new people around. We need you." Amy gave Anna her biggest puppy dog eyes. "Really?" Anna seemed to perk up for the first time that day. She liked that the twins needed her. Anna needed to feel needed right now. To be honest, she never felt like anyone needed her. Not anyone in the Alexander family, and definitely not Garrett. The two children smiled sweetly and nodded their heads vigorously. Anna's motherly instincts kicked in. She decided to ignore the Garrett situation and focus on Amy and Adam right now. The photo shoot was exhausting. Like any entertainment set, there was a lot of hurrying up, then waiting. Since Anna had taken the twins with her, Violet stood around for a while and felt her back starting to ache. She was tired and thirsty. Violet started looking around to find some place where she could sit down. Mike left to go find her bottled water. Spotting a folding chair against the wall, Violet walked over to it. She was just about to sit down when someone suddenly grabbed her by the arm. "Hey, why are you standing around? We don't have a lot of time. Quick, come and help me." Violet looked at the woman who had grabbed her in confusion. The woman had a clipboard in her hand and a walkie-talkie was squawking on her hip. She must be a member of the production crew. "I'm sorry, I think you have me confused." Violet started to explain, but the woman cut her off. "Come on, hurry up. Marnie and Brooks called in sick, so we're short-staffed." Without listening to Violet's explanation, the woman started to pull her along. Violet had no choice but to run alongside her to keep up. Panting, she was led past the large crowd and into a side hallway. There were several offices along the hallway, and the woman dragged Violet into one of the smaller ones. There was a desk with a stack of papers on it. "Read the script here. After reading it, wait 5 minutes, then reread it again. Then again. I'll send you new pages if they update it." The woman started to turn to leave. "Wait, I have to explain." Violet tried again. This was a huge mistake. The woman let out a sigh. "Are you here to work or are you here to chat? You're getting paid, so stop messing around and get to it. There's no time to waste." "I'm not... Look, I saw you just standing around doing nothing. I'll cut you some slack this time since you're new. Work hard, and I won't report you, Miss Haley." With that, the woman disappeared through the door as fast as she'd first appeared. Violet's head was spinning. Violet didn't know what to do about her mistaken identity. But then again, the woman had said that Marnie and Brooks had both called in sick. Whoever they were, so she figured she might as well help out. Ultimately, she'd be helping out Anna and Haley, so she didn't really mind. In fact, Violet thought she could use her new job as a way to find Garrett and meet with him. She wanted to ask him about his feelings towards Anna. Logan didn't pay much attention to his younger sister, but Violet didn't like that Garrett had hurt Anna. Violet was quite concerned about her. Anna was a sweet girl. The way she looked at Garrett was the way Violet had looked at Lionel, all starry-eyed and dreamy. She wanted to try to help her with Garrett if she could. Violet looked at the desk full of scripts. The job seemed easy enough, Violet thought. I mean, she worked as Logan's secretary, estate manager, mistress. What job could be harder than that? When Haley returned from her business trip and Violet told her the story of the Lori Group's newest recruit, she would probably die laughing. Why did things like this always seem to happen to Violet? Episode 149. Violet doesn't want to be famous. Violet knew that when the music producer sitting across from her called her famous, it wasn't really a compliment. She wasn't famous because of her high-profile scandal with Logan. She was infamous. The man wanted to offer her a contract to sing the theme song for a new Lori Group movie. After dealing with the daily onslaught of salacious rumors about her and Logan, Violet had enough of being famous for a lifetime. Of course, this producer didn't seem to care. He probably subscribed to that whole "there's no such thing as bad publicity" theory. Artists weren't as concerned with what rumors and secrets were spread about them. In this circle, who had not had a scandal? Or two? If people weren't talking about you, it was considered career suicide. If there wasn't even the slightest hint of gossip surrounding you, no one would be willing to invest in you. Slander was just the appetizer. As time passed, if she and Logan maintained their current relationship, there would always be a further risk of scandal. They were now dragging Logan's name through the mud along with hers. Violet feared he would grow tired of it and cut all ties with her. So now, the most important thing for Violet was to keep her head down and grow stronger. She couldn't rely on anyone, especially men. Violet repeated what she had already told the man. "Thank you, but I'm not interested. I don't want or need to be famous. What you need the most right now is this job." The man slapped his desk, making Violet jump as he spoke so emphatically. "I heard that you want to fight for your inheritance rights with the Kingstons, but that won't make you strong. This job will. You need my help." "But what does any of that have to do with me becoming a singer?" Violet was confused. "My name is Jay Fannin." The man handed her a business card. Although Violet was not in the music business, she had heard his name before. This man had won many awards and was now working with Garrett and the Lori Group. Jay was an expert when it came to discovering and fostering fresh talent. He was a rare combination of someone with artistic talent and business sense. She knew he was producing the theme song for Garrett's new movie that Logan also had a large investment in. When the song came out, the copyright would belong to Logan, but the singer would be signed by Garrett. It could be considered their way of keeping tabs on each other. "I have heard such wonderful things about you." Violet put her palms together. She explained that she admired talented and capable people, and that she couldn't imagine how someone like him would be interested in working with her. "Well, like I said, you're pretty famous yourself." Jay saw her uneasiness and smiled to ease the tension. Jay studied Violet. She was different from her appearance. She was soft, but had thorns. He was very satisfied with his latest discovery. It was best to have thorns. Being hammered by life was infinitely compatible with his song. It wasn't a sweet, innocent song, and he didn't need an inexperienced little girl. What he needed was an experienced, even a shattered woman. "I am very confident in you. You are the only one who could do this song of mine justice. It doesn't matter if you are a professional singer or not. We can give you lessons. Think about it." "But you haven't told me why you want me to become strong. What does this have to do with the Kingstons?" Violet asked. "It's very simple," said Jay. "We each take what we need. When you are rich and famous, you can do your own thing. Public opinion will support you. You don't need to seek help from others. As for me, I will have another piece of work that I am satisfied with. Maybe even take some time off to take my first vacation in years. It's a win-win situation for both of us. Are you really that confident? Violet finally smiled. Jay thought Violet's smile lit up the small office. He suddenly felt 10 years younger. Violet invigorated him. Of course. I have great confidence in you, Jay replied. This is so unexpected. It's too much pressure. Violet helplessly shook her head with a smile. Since you know Anna, talk to her more about it, Jay suggested. My opinion will not change. If you are not willing to sing this song, then it won't happen, and I'll just pull out of this deal. You'd break your contract? Violet was anxious. He was deliberately putting pressure on her. Logan was also involved in this deal. She didn't want to be the one to cause any problems. I can afford to pay the fine for a breach of contract, Jay shrugged his shoulders. He did not seem to care about money at all. Well, I still feel that I'm not the right choice. This is too unbelievable. Let me think about it. Violet felt overwhelmed. There was a knock at the door, and Garrett came in. Violet, let's talk. Garrett was anxious and couldn't wait any longer. He really wanted to persuade Violet to do the song. Anna touched his arm gently to remind him to stay calm. Anna, have Adam and Amy finished their shoot? Violet asked. Oh, they're still shooting, Anna said. How about this, Violet? Chat with Garrett for a while. I'll go and check on the children for you. Anna hated forcing others to do things that they did not want to do, but she'd do what it takes to help Garrett. Thank you, Anna. I promise I'll speak to Garrett about this. Coincidentally, Violet also wanted to ask Garrett how he felt about Anna, so it was handy that she had offered to check on the twins. Meanwhile, Anna was a bit nervous, because Garrett had told her previously that he might be interested in Violet. She did not want the two of them to spend too much time alone together. However, she was responsible for Adam and Amy. Plus, this theme song was very important to Garrett. It was the first time he had led the production of a period drama. Anna hoped that everything would go smoothly. Anna left to go check on the kids. The shoot had ended. The photographer was packing up his things. The photographer's assistant was talking with the twins and giving them candy. When Anna arrived, the assistant stood up and brought the children over to her. Anna, good, you're back, the assistant said. Where did you run off to? The bodyguard was looking for you. Bodyguard? Yeah, big guy, and he said he was looking for the children's mother. That must be Violet, right? He said it was important he finds her. Anna remembered Mike, Logan's bodyguard, had accompanied Violet and the children today. Was Logan really that concerned about Violet and the kids' safety? Anna was a little worried about how her grandmother was going to react to Violet and Logan's relationship. There were a lot of obstacles stacked up against Violet and Logan. Anna wondered if their budding relationship could withstand all this pressure. But then again, if Violet stayed involved with her brother, selfishly, that would be great for Anna. She would have one less Kingston woman to fight with over Garrett. Episode 150. The Dotted Line. Anna had gone to pick the children up from their photo shoot so Violet and Garrett could discuss a contract. She still couldn't believe Grammy-winning producer Jay Fannon's latest muse was going to be Violet. He wanted her to sing the theme song of the period drama Garrett was producing. But Violet was hesitant. The twins' shoot had wrapped, and they had been talking to the photographer's assistant when Anna walked up. So you haven't seen the children's mother? The assistant asked Anna. Her bodyguard, Mike, said it was important he find Violet. You know, Violet Kingston. That Violet. I saw her when you guys came in. Violet's gorgeous, even more beautiful in person than in her pictures. No wonder your brother can't keep his hands off her. Don't repeat rumors, especially in front of the children. Violet and Logan have a purely professional relationship. He's the boss, and she's his secretary. Anna's dishonest explanation to the assistant actually left a bad taste in her mouth. It was Garrett and Anna that should have a relationship, Anna thought bitterly. They'd known each other since they were kids, much longer than Logan and Violet had known each other. Anna sighed. She was so tired of the pursuit. But she would not give up. Marrying Garrett was her life's goal. She couldn't give up now. The more Anna thought about it, the more disheartened she became. She was envious of Logan and Violet's relationship, even a bit resentful, although she shouldn't be. She just wished Garrett would force her to sign a contract to live in his mansion with him. She knew her brother could be really overbearing, and she had overheard Haley unintentionally revealing how Logan and Violet came to be living together. Anna thanked the assistant for watching the kids, then left with Adam and Amy to go look for Violet and Mike. "Anna, where's our mommy?" Amy asked as she looked up at Anna while she held her hand. "Your mommy has some things to take care of," Anna explained. "Let's go and find Mike first. Otherwise, he will be worried." Adam seemed a little tired. He did not say anything along the way. The filming schedule had been long and overwhelming today. Adam wasn't like Amy, who had seemingly endless energy. Plus, Adam's knee was achy after so much standing today, so he really just wanted to find his mommy and go home to see Uncle Logan. "Yes, let's go find Mommy quick. Adam looks like he's about to fall asleep," Amy nodded repeatedly. Adam looked at his sister helplessly. Why did she have to repeat everything he told her? It was so embarrassing. He stiffly smiled at Anna. His eyelids were heavy, and he managed only a meager smile. It made Anna's heart ache, but she couldn't help thinking that Adam was even cuter when he was serious. In fact, Adam's serious expression had always reminded Anna of Logan's. "There you are, Anna. I still can't find Violet. Mr. Alexander is going to be furious. What should I do?" The 6'3" bodyguard was so anxious that he looked like he was about to cry. Mike had never made such a mistake when he was guarding Logan. If Mike lost Violet on his watch, he was afraid that Logan would be so angry that he would lose his job. "Don't worry, Anna knows where Mommy is. Let's go find her together. She said if we were good, we could have our reward," said Amy. After they found their mommy, they could all go home and rest. Plus, Mommy had told Adam and Amy that if they were good at the photo shoot, as a reward, she'd take them to the farmer's market next weekend. The twins thought a farmer's market was better than any playground or amusement park. There were chickens with their eggs, beautiful flowers, lots of yummy fruit, tons of food trucks, and even a petting zoo. Amy and Adam started dragging Anna and Mike by their hands, urging the two adults to go faster as they all headed towards a row of buildings at the north end of the lot. Anna said that Violet was talking to someone in an office building, and they quickly wanted to find Mommy. "Hey, Anna." The receptionist flagged Anna down as they entered the building. "Mr. Alexander called just now to ask you if the shoot was over, and wondering if you would be sending Violet and the children home soon. He also said Miss Kingston's phone was going straight to voicemail and he couldn't reach her." "Either Violet's phone is dead or there is no signal in here. I'll call him and explain." Anna then dialed her brother's number. Once Logan confirmed Violet and the children were fine, he quickly hung up his sister's call. Logan did not want Anna to know that he had been worried about Violet. Instead, Logan had coldly instructed Anna to tell Violet he would be home for dinner that evening. He also told her he wanted Adam and Amy to be sent home soon, as they had school tomorrow. Logan was concerned about Violet and the twins like they were his own family, even though they weren't related to him. On the surface, Violet was just his secretary, yet he was always anxious to keep her close. Although he hadn't said anything to Anna, he was sure she would be able to tell Logan had been worried if he stayed on the phone too long with her. Anna wasn't fooled by her brother, though. He had brought Violet to live with him in his home. He'd said it was to protect her, but Anna knew there had to be more to Logan's feelings for Violet. Anna knew how much her brother liked to be in control. If he couldn't control something, he didn't want it. Fortunately for Logan, Violet seemed more than willing to be controlled. Logan's dominant nature matched well with Violet's more submissive personality. This type of relationship wouldn't work for everyone, Anna thought. But Violet and Logan seemed to fit together perfectly. Until Violet had moved in, Logan had never left work early. He either stayed late at the office working or attended some sort of business-related social engagement every night. Now, he was anxious to get home early to have dinner with Violet and the kids. There were many things Logan did now that he had never done before. Anna knew that his change in behavior was because of Violet, even if her brother hadn't realized it yet. It had only been half an hour since Anna had left. When they returned, it was obvious that Garrett and Violet had reached some sort of agreement. Anna widened her eyes in disbelief. Was Garrett that persuasive? You agreed? She pulled Violet to the side. Don't feel like you have to do it. No one is forcing you to do anything you don't want to do. The offer was just too tempting, Violet told her. I just wanted to give it a try. Explore something new. Violet smiled. Will Logan be okay with this? Anna asked worriedly. It has nothing to do with him. It's none of his business. I can make this decision myself, Violet stated. Violet had decided that the contract was not a big deal and that she could convince Logan of this. She had read the contract. It was only 2 years. The cost of training during this period would be deducted from the future profits of the songs. Violet would now have contractual obligations like doing interviews, performances, and so on, but Garrett had said that they wouldn't take her away from home too much. Violet also had to agree to a morals clause in the contract. It said that Violet could not do anything that would tarnish her image or the reputation of Lori Group. The rumors about Logan and her had helped her get the job, so Violet figured the morals clause must be referring to doing drugs or breaking the law. Violet would never dream of doing anything like that. The contract seemed fine. Plus, Violet figured she was among friends. She didn't think Garrett and the Lori Group would do anything to harm her. So Violet had signed on the dotted line, happily. Logan would just have to deal with it. Episode 151. What was going on? Violet was feeling good about her new singing contract. She'd been concerned about signing it, but Garrett and the producer seemed to have a lot of confidence in her. Plus, she would be helping Logan. Since he was an investor in the movie her song was being produced for. Violet figured if she could make more money for Logan, they would be on more equal footing. If she was contributing financially, Violet would feel more confident asking Logan for help in the future. She didn't want to just be a secretary/estate manager/mistress. She wanted to be proud of what she was doing and hold her head high. She was thinking about herself and her kids. While Violet also had a little talk with Garrett, and he'd agreed to some of her off-the-record additional requests. Anna could not know about her deal with Garrett for the time being. Jay Fannin, the music producer who was in the room for the negotiations, had winked Violet and said his lips were sealed. Violet hugged Adam and Amy when she saw them and asked how the shoot had gone. "Did you guys have fun today?" Violet asked them. Adam and Amy nodded. She could tell the children were exhausted. It wasn't easy to make money. Anna said that all the money would be put into their own account. Adam and Amy were very excited. They thought that now they might have enough money to get Uncle Logan to help them find their dad. Of course, this was their little secret, and they were not going to tell anyone, not even their mother. Well, now we can relax the rest of the week. Violet wanted the children to have fun and had promised to take them to the farmer's market. Too many things had happened recently. She was anxious for the children to return to more normal lives. Your children... Jay paused, his voice trailing off. He wanted to say something but did not dare to continue. This is the first time he had met the twins. They looked even cuter in person than in the pictures online. But the thing that made Jay pause was that they looked astonishingly like Logan. Even if they weren't Logan's children, no one would ever believe it. No wonder there were so many rumors saying that Violet and Logan had been together for a long time. Jay pushed his glasses up and said instead, "Your children are really cute. You're a lucky woman. You'll definitely want to earn more to support these two." "We can make money too. Mommy, don't work so hard." The two children didn't like Jay's words. Amy puffed up her red cheeks. Okay, I said the wrong things. You guys are very good kids. Jay liked the children and was not offended. Violet, on the other hand, felt a little embarrassed. He was just making conversation. Don't be too sensitive. I do want to earn more money to spend on you two. Don't you want to go to college one day? Violet asked them. Okay, Adam said. But Amy is right. We can help make money too. These kids are really something. One is a chatterbox and the other is steady as a rock. I'll keep you guys in mind in the future if I know anyone looking for child models. Does that sound good? Jay asked the twins. Yes! Amy was very happy. Wouldn't that mean she could earn more money? She had long forgotten about the promise she made to Logan and Violet. Only Adam remembered, gently pulling on his sister's sleeve. Amy, Uncle Logan and Mommy won't allow it. Oh. Amy just remembered that last time her mother got angry because she was filming. Later, Uncle Logan had also promised that there would not be a next time. She did not want to be a bad kid. It seemed that there was no chance for her to earn any money. She is really obsessed with money. Mr. Fannin, don't mind her. They've had a long day. We have to go now. I'll speak with you soon, Violet said. We'll start working the day after tomorrow. Jay was looking forward to it. He rubbed his palms together. It had been a long time since he'd been this excited. He believed he'd found a star. Violet did not want to be famous. She just wanted to contribute. Maybe she'd learned something, too. Of course, earning money was foremost in her thoughts. If Logan kicked her out, she would be self-sufficient with this job. And Violet thought she was doing Logan and Garrett a big favor. Garrett looked like he was about to return the favor, based on their conversation about Anna. As for Logan, he had saved her children. Now they would be even. Garrett was thrilled. Although he'd remained calmly professional when he had said goodbye to Violet, he wished he could see the expression on Logan's face when he found out that Violet had signed a contract with Garrett's company. Garrett wanted to go to the Smith Group offices personally to leak the news to Logan through his own employees. But he had promised Violet he would take Anna out tonight. Never mind that. He had already agreed to take Anna to dinner if she helped him find the singer. He hadn't bothered to share that part with Violet. He called Anna and asked her if she was ready to go to dinner. Garrett, why are you being so nice today? Anna was not used to this. In the past, it was she who kept pestering him. He'd actually remembered his promise to take her to dinner tonight. What was going on today? The restaurant Garrett took Anna to was her favorite. It wasn't that Garrett didn't know what Anna liked. He just hadn't ever cared to show it before. The intimate restaurant was the ideal spot for the perfect date. But Anna was not happy. Instead, her heart ached. Something wasn't right. Garrett was not acting like Garrett. What exactly had he talked about with Violet? Garrett's gallant behavior happened after their conversation. Normally, he would have just taken her to the Lots bar to say thanks. Could it be that he was simply happy because Violet signed the contract? Maybe she was overthinking this. Perhaps he really did want to go out with Anna, and this had nothing to do with Violet. But what if it did have something to do with her? Maybe her relationship with Logan was keeping her from success, and Garrett was excited to swoop in and help Violet. The more Anna thought about it, the more agitated she became. And yes, Garrett was here with her physically, but Anna could tell he was not really with her. His mind seemed to be somewhere else as he texted his secretary and requested they go to Smith Group on an errand. It looked like, once again, her date with Garrett was going to be a bust. When Violet arrived home that night, Logan was in his study. He didn't come out when Violet and the kids came in. Violet was a little surprised. This wasn't like him. Violet could sense a chill in the atmosphere. Something was wrong. If he was mad at her, Violet didn't know what she could have done. He had approved of her accompanying the children to the shoot. She'd even taken Mike with her and the children at his request. But something was definitely wrong. Either Logan was just busy with something or he was throwing a tantrum. Violet didn't know if he was talking to Corey in his office or not. She told Adam and Amy to be quiet and to be careful not to disturb Uncle Logan while he was working. The children went upstairs to change into their pajamas. Violet asked Zoe and Lee if everything was all right. They just shook their heads, indicating they didn't know anything, but even they were quieter than normal. Everyone was acting completely different than usual. Violet had no idea what was going on tonight, but she was starting to think she probably didn't really want to know. Episode 152. Logan's Bad Mood. Violet quietly went upstairs to check on the twins. She passed by the closed door of Logan's study and listened carefully. There was no movement inside, and she did not dare to knock on the door and enter. What was going on? Something had happened. Logan was holed up in his study, and even the staff was subdued. Violet decided to wait to talk to Logan until it was time to eat. Lee and Zoe were busy prepping dinner in the kitchen. They were whispering quietly, trying to figure out whether Logan and Violet had gotten into a fight. I don't think so. Violet doesn't seem to know what's going on either. If they had fought, she would know the reason. Maybe we should help them smooth things over, Zoe suggested. They aren't children, Lee snorted. Maybe the novelty has worn off, and he just doesn't want to bother with Violet or the children tonight. Anyway, we have work to do. Let's not talk about it anymore. Mr. Alexander always comes out of the study to eat. Maybe we'll figure out what's going on then. Violet and the children did not see Logan until he came down for dinner. You could cut the tension with a knife. Violet was very apprehensive, but Adam and Amy seemed not to notice anything was wrong as they ran towards Uncle Logan enthusiastically. They were not affected at all. Logan did not seem to have any issue with the children. He treated them the same as he always did. He asked them about their day and listened patiently as they told him all about the photo shoot. Then Amy wanted to talk about birthdays. Amy gave Adam a look. The little girl rolled her eyes and said sweetly, Mommy's birthday is in the spring. Our birthday is in the fall. When's your birthday, Uncle Logan? Amy and Adam were beside themselves when they discovered that Uncle Logan had the same November birthday as they did. It was late autumn, and the weather was a little cooler in Los Angeles. Their birthday was coming up. When Logan suggested the three of them celebrate their birthdays together this year, the twins cheered and chattered excitedly. A party with the twins sounded infinitely better to Logan than a long dinner with his grandmother, reminiscing about the childhood he had hated. Logan felt a little better. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He thought about getting a big cake for Adam and Amy's birthday. There was actually less than a month until the day, but Logan knew he had the resources to plan a big birthday party, even in a short amount of time. After all, it would be their first year celebrating together. If they held a big celebration, invited various media outlets to participate, and spread the news, the photos and videos might even help them find their biological father. When Logan thought of this, he looked up at Violet, and his mood immediately soured again. Logan still couldn't believe what she had done today. Why was she getting close to Garrett? Could it be that Violet really only liked stealing her cousin's men? First Logan, and now Garrett, had connections with Elizabeth. After Logan heard that Violet and Garrett had signed a contract, he couldn't help but notice this pattern. Could it be that he was just a tool? That Violet's feelings weren't sincere? For the first time in his life, Logan doubted his own judgment. He had never experienced this kind of hesitation before. Logan was used to being steady and decisive. Maybe his grandmother had been right. Violet came to Smith Group to get close to him and then use him. Logan was irritated. Maybe he should have just fired Violet like his grandmother had wanted him to. If this woman was really just toying with him, then he couldn't let her. Logan had promised himself he would never become his father. He would never let himself fall into the same situation as Christopher. Logan poked at the food on his plate absent-mindedly. Violet gently asked him if he was not feeling well, if he was tired from work, or if there was a problem of some kind. No, he responded coldly. Even Adam and Amy sensed Uncle Logan's change in mood, but they weren't afraid that he would yell at them. They had never seen Uncle Logan lose his temper. Uncle Logan, whatever it is, you can do it. Whatever hard thing you need to do. I believe in you. Adam was echoing what his teacher had told him, that the only way to succeed was to believe in yourself. Adam thought Uncle Logan was like a superhero. After all, every time he and his sister encountered danger, it was Uncle Logan who saved them. Of course, Adam also looked up to Uncle Noah and Aunt Haley. Adam felt a little guilty that he had been spending too much time with Uncle Logan and hadn't seen his godparents recently. He didn't want them to think he didn't like them. When they came back from their business trips, Adam decided he would invite them to play more often. You believe in me? Logan smiled slightly at the boy. He was comforted by Adam's trust in him and was even a little proud. Amy nodded her head vigorously, unable to talk with her mouth full of food. What Adam said was exactly what she wanted to say. The children seemed thankful to be there, which warmed Logan's heart. Seeing the puzzled look on Violet's face, he decided he would have to have a long talk with her later. After Violet put the children to bed, she laid out her pajamas and had just hopped into the shower when Logan ambushed her. Violet had been standing under the shower, enjoying the feeling of the hot water washing away her fatigue, when she was pulled into Logan's firm, broad chest. Although they were intimate every day, Violet still felt overwhelmed by Logan every time they were together like this. With his sudden nearness, Violet's blood immediately began to heat, and she felt her shower grow hotter. Violet felt uncertain and shy, mainly because she did not know why Logan had been in such a horrible mood all evening. She buried her face in Logan's chest, not wanting to look directly at him. Look at me, Logan ordered. What do you want? Couldn't it wait until I got out of the shower? Violet was confused. She hadn't done anything wrong, but Logan had looked all evening like he was furious with her. Violet did not want to face him. Logan held her close, their skin pressed together from head to toe as the water cascaded down around them. He slowly and rhythmically began to caress Violet's naked back. An involuntary shiver went through Violet as his fingers brushed against her smooth skin. At her reaction, Logan groaned and let out a satisfied sigh. Can you please leave? I'm begging you. Violet's heart felt like it was going to leap out of her chest. Your body doesn't seem to mind that I'm here. Logan thought Violet was like a small rabbit, trapped in the hunter's arms, not daring to move lest the predator strike. Logan leaned down and nipped at Violet's earlobe, making her whimper. His husky voice murmured softly in Violet's ear, Tell me, why did you hook up with Garrett? Violet was stunned. Logan knew about the contract. Episode 154. discovered a star. Violet and Logan were exhausted after a long night of negotiation and punishment. Violet stubbornly argued all the reasons she shouldn't break her contract with Garrett, while Logan silently tried to convince her she should. In the end, it was a draw. As the sun started to peek over the horizon, Violet lay with her head on Logan's chest as he ran his fingers through her hair. Logan sighed. He was annoyed and helpless and could only tell Violet that he would think about it. He kissed the top of her head, and they both, almost immediately, fell asleep. No one knew who had leaked the contract between Violet and Lori Group, but the news had been viewed and shared widely by morning. Logan had scheduled a meeting with Garrett before even he attempted to get answers out of Violet last night. When Logan walked into his office suite the next day, Garrett was already there, waiting to meet him. Garrett had been a bit surprised by Logan's almost immediate reaction to hearing the news about his contract with Violet. Corey had immediately called to set up a time for him to meet with Logan in the morning. He had not expected Violet to have such power over his brother. Logan, who had always been so cold and aloof with everyone, actually seemed to really care about her. Clearly, Garrett had made the right decision by signing Violet to a contract if it was going to upset his brother this much. Next, he wanted Violet to attend a press conference, officially announcing their deal, if for no other reason than to annoy Logan. "What are you so nervous about, Logan? You should know it's purely professional between Violet and me. There's nothing between us." Garrett casually leaned back against the sofa and crossed his legs. "You're the one who is nervous." Logan looked coldly at him, lifting his chin to indicate Garrett was shaking his leg. Garrett forced himself to immediately stop. Garrett had been this way since he was a child. Whenever he got nervous, he would shake his leg. It was a nervous twitch. As Garrett had gotten older, he had learned to control himself better. As long as he didn't face Logan, his nervous tic didn't come out. Leave it to Logan to point it out to him. Bastard. "I see you're just as arrogant and self-righteous as ever, big brother," Garrett sneered. This is why the Gardners hated the Alexanders. Garrett's grandmother believed the Alexanders had harmed her son, and now she thought Logan was harming her grandson. The close bond the two families had once shared was long gone. Now his grandma Sarah wanted to destroy the Alexander family, and she was counting on Garrett to make it happen. However, revenge required power. That was why Garrett had worked so hard to climb to the top. He tried his best to control Lori Group and fight against Logan. He had almost done it, but the shadow of his childhood was still there. Logan had had an unhappy childhood, but then so had Garrett. Their mother doted on Garrett, but he had lost his father. Garrett's mother, Joanna, maintained close ties with the Alexanders, even though Grandma Sarah was convinced they had had something to do with Garrett's father's death. Her eldest son, Logan, was a part of that family, its presumptive heir, so Joanna could never cut ties with them. He could not stop his mother from seeing Logan, even though it pained him. He wished there were no Alexanders in the world. Every time Garrett had made a mistake growing up, his grandmother would lock Garrett in a small, dark room and tell him that he was not as good as Logan. He had heard humiliating words thousands of times. Without a blanket or a bed, he would shiver in the dark room. His hands would swell. How could he not hate Logan? When he faced Logan, it took all his strength to suppress his nervousness and disgust. Grandma Sarah had told Garrett to endure and wait for an opportunity. But he couldn't wait any longer. It was too torturous. He just wanted to destroy Logan as soon as possible. He wanted Smith Group to go bankrupt, and Logan would be left penniless and alone. Then Garrett could get on with his own life, out of the long shadow of his big brother. "I liked you better as a kid." Garrett had thought of Logan as a brother for a brief time when they were young. A very brief time. Logan glared at Garrett. Because of Violet's actions, he now had to deal with his brother. Logan didn't want to be controlled by any woman. He had been independent from a young age. Even his overbearing grandmother could not restrict his freedom. But now Logan found himself tied up in knots over his secretary. Corey knocked on the door. Logan told him to come in. He took 2 steps towards Logan's desk and showed him the tablet in his hand. Henry had sent Logan a photo of the swarm of media outlets and paparazzi hanging out in front of Logan's gate. Why was everyone so fascinated with this story? Why had the media sent so many people to cover it? And then, as if Henry's photo hadn't done enough to annoy him, Henry had also sent Logan a text. "I was asking to bring Alex and Mrs. Alexander to your home. We just got here." Was this really all because of Violet? His grandmother had promised him she wouldn't poke her nose in his private matters. Logan frowned. It was as if everyone wanted Violet to write a guide on how to seduce a rich and handsome man. Logan took the tablet from Corey and swiped his finger through the dozens of stories about Violet. The coverage was not flattering. Not only can she grab the attention of the CEO of Smith Group, but she also hooked up with the CEO of Lorry Group. I thought she was this sweet, innocent thing, but she's a professional gold digger. Is the Smith Group going bankrupt? How could they allow a secretary to work with a competitive group in public? Ridiculous. What's so ridiculous about it? She's good in bed and serves her boss well. She can do anything. It's only a matter of time before she jumps into the Lorry Group CEO's bed. I wonder if there will be any private photos to see. Lol. Logan threw the tablet down onto his desk. He was outraged. The worst humiliation for a woman was being branded a loose woman. Violet was beautiful and sexy, so the rumors were even more believable. There was nothing to these rumors, but it didn't matter whether they were true or not. The slander was not only insulting to those involved, but the company would suffer losses as a result. The losses would be blamed on Violet. She was hated by others. That was the real purpose of these rumors. Logan was angry, but he still had to face this head-on. "Find out who is behind this," Logan instructed Corey. "We can't let them get away with this. We need restitution." Things like this happened a lot in Los Angeles every day. Logan wouldn't let his actions tarnish the reputation of the Smith Group and the Alexander family. Corey nodded to indicate that he would do as instructed. But the result of these rumors was that now everyone was even more curious about Violet. Could Violet, who had never performed before, really be trained by Jay Fannin to become a singer? Even Jay was now caught up in the media storm surrounding Violet. He was actually filled with excitement over all the attention Violet was receiving. He wondered what kind of magic Violet had, that she had garnered this amount of fame, even before she debuted. Jay knew he had discovered a star. Episode 153. Punishment. "I didn't hook up with Garrett," Violet exclaimed. Logan had known all evening about her contract with Garrett. It was why he had been in such a bad mood. Violet forgot her nervousness at being in the shower with Logan. How could Logan say such a thing? He had promised that he would trust her. Violet looked directly into Logan's eyes when she spoke. "I'm just going to be singing. You said you would trust me when we signed our contract. Is this how you show your trust? So what if I'm going to be working with Garrett? If you had just asked me about it, versus sulking all evening then ambushing me in the shower, I could have explained to you that me signing the contract is a good thing." How had Logan found out so quickly? Violet was shocked. Had Garrett called him? Or maybe it had been Anna. Had Anna feared Violet was going to get scolded, so she had called her brother to give Logan some time to calm down? Violet had no idea how Logan already knew. She had planned to have a frank conversation with Logan about the contract and explain her reasoning, but he had been in such a foul mood all evening that she had decided to wait for a time when he was calmer. Logan was taken aback by Violet's fury. She glared at him, her skin flushed red with anger. Violet seemed genuinely upset he didn't trust her. Well, what did she expect? Logan was angry too. You think working with my snake of a brother is a good thing? Logan growled at Violet, dissatisfied with her attitude. She was too arrogant. Ever since she entered the Smith group, she had been testing his patience. It was time she was reminded of who was in control of this relationship. I made my decision after careful consideration, Violet said confidently. Is that so? Tell me about it. Logan grabbed Violet's slim waist with both hands and buried himself in her warmth. Violet cried out. She hadn't been ready for him, but her reaction was instant. Violet was still furious with Logan, but her body didn't care. Violet didn't have the strength to resist him. Instead, she wrapped her legs around him as Logan picked her up and shoved her against the tiled wall. Logan wanted to punish Violet and assert his control, but she reveled in his dominance. Pain became passion, and she readily submitted, letting Logan do whatever he wanted, letting him take what he wanted. When they were done, there was silence in the shower. The only sounds, that of running water and their breathing. Setting Violet down on her feet, Logan said, Violet, shut up. Please don't say anything. Heat rushed to Violet's face. How could she let him do that? Why did she enjoy Logan's roughness? She was thankful that he remained silent. Logan cleaned her up and carried her to the bed. When Violet had sex with Logan, she felt as if she became a different person. Logan's outward appearance of control over all things, including his desires, was just a carefully maintained facade. Violet knew what Logan was really like. She had experienced what happened when his famous control snapped. Logan was ferocious in the bedroom. He was a dominant beast of a man taking what he wanted. And yet, all Violet wanted was to submit to him. She had never expected to discover this side of herself. Now, tell me the truth. If you dare lie to me, I will do that 3 times a day, Logan promised. No, Violet protested. She couldn't survive 3 times a day, could she? Then tell me the truth. Logan wanted to hear Violet's side of the story. He wanted her to tell him why she had thought signing that contract with Garrett was a good thing. I just made a deal with him. Violet was a little nervous. She did not think Logan was going to understand. Go on. I'm listening. Logan gestured for her to continue. I want Garrett to pursue Anna, Violet confessed. What? No, I've already told Anna she needs to stay away from Garrett, just like you should have stayed away from him. My brother is not a good man. Logan scowled. I know what you mean, but Anna doesn't get it. She doesn't know that she only likes the Garrett she's imagined. Why not let her see for herself his true nature? If you keep standing between her and Garrett, it will only make her want him more, Violet explained. So you decided to sacrifice yourself, Logan sneered. It wasn't that he didn't understand Violet's point, but to make him compromise was difficult. Why were his family members like this? Why did they always love people who didn't love them? Anna didn't understand how sinister some people's hearts were. Since she did not believe in evil, then let Anna experience it for herself. Violet didn't need to be a part of that lesson. Logan shook his head. Tell me the rest. The rest? Violet feigned ignorance. Logan was so angry that he growled. He grabbed Violet's chin and forced her to look at him. Violet's eyes turned into sharp daggers. I said, I don't like when people lie to me. Logan swiped his thumb along Violet's pouty lower lip. Have you already forgotten what I just said now? How could Violet forget something like 3 times a day? She shivered and grabbed Logan's arm to stop him. She knew what Logan wanted her to say, but she didn't want him to think that she would do something like this for him. She didn't want Logan to know that she liked him, that she had wanted to help him with his investment. Logan had come to her rescue during her most difficult times. Now, she wanted to help him ensure that Smith Group's investment was successful. Plus, she had to look out for herself. She had to get stronger and stand on her own 2 feet. She couldn't always rely on other people in her life. But Violet, in the end, didn't need to say anything. Logan already seemed to know. How could you be so stupid? Logan couldn't believe Violet had agreed to Garrett's contract because of his own investment. You can't do this, but you'll get other opportunities. Smith Group doesn't need you to sacrifice yourself. I'll fix this, Logan stated. I will meet with Garrett tomorrow and tell him to forget it. No, absolutely not. You will do no such thing. This is not your decision to make. Violet spoke without thinking. Although her relationship with Logan was intimate, it was not the kind where she could tell him what to do. No one ever told Logan what he could or couldn't do. Logan stared at her fiercely, and Violet's eyes grew wide. I'm sorry. I just meant that, Violet stuttered. Logan cut her off. I feel that your punishment has been too light. Wait, please listen, I can explain. I just meant... Violet tried again. She wanted to explain her reasoning, but Logan didn't want to hear it. He was done talking. Their argument repeated all night long. Violet told Logan all the reasons he shouldn't cancel the contract, and Logan showed her without words why he was going to do exactly that. Episode 155. Even More Famous. It seemed that as soon as Violet had signed her singing contract with Laurie Group, she had become even more famous. And it wasn't just Violet's new music producer, Jay, who thought so. Across town, an outraged Elizabeth was berating her manager. She had summoned her manager so he could explain to her why he had allowed Violet to become even more famous than Elizabeth. Elizabeth figured it had to be her manager's fault. Violet hadn't even launched her singing career yet, and her name was everywhere. Elizabeth had not been getting anywhere near as much publicity as Violet. She had failed to get engaged to Logan, so her Diamond brand endorsement deal had fallen through. Now Violet was Grammy-winning producer Jay Fannon's latest muse. Violet was at the epicenter of a media storm in Los Angeles. Who wouldn't be angry? Elizabeth thought. She blamed her manager's incompetence. Her manager, Gary Sloan, had been looking down at his shoes while Elizabeth had been screaming at him. He had long stopped listening to anything she was saying, although he would nod his head occasionally. Logan had arranged for Gary to represent Elizabeth. He was going to need a raise after today. Are you worthy of the salary Logan is paying you? I deserve only the best, and you are supposed to be the best, Elizabeth shouted. What do you do all day anyways? What have you accomplished? I want results, not excuses. Mr. Alexander said he had another project in pre-production that he thinks would be great for you, Elizabeth. When the time comes, he will have a good role for you, Gary explained patiently. He didn't share out loud his opinion that things were going to be different in the near future. Logan obviously wanted to cut ties with Elizabeth. He had slowly been withdrawing Smith Group employees away from Elizabeth's team. She was soon going to be left with just minimal staff. Logan was slowly distancing Smith Group from Elizabeth. In Gary's opinion, this was the beginning of the end of the relationship between her and Logan. However, sitting here, facing the narcissistic Elizabeth, Gary said nothing. Besides, she deserved it. Elizabeth was a bully. People had, for years, wondered why Logan continued to invest in her. If his support officially ended, her manager knew a lot of people that would be celebrating, including him. Gary thought Elizabeth should consider herself lucky that Logan had stuck around as long as he had. She had jumped from being a D-list actress to an A-list celebrity, easily sailing to fame. She had mediocre talent at best. Her fame was all Logan's doing. Elizabeth didn't get it, though. She just continued to yell and whine. Don't you know how to do your job? My cousin is even more famous than me now. Why should I even be an actor? I should just retire. We've been sending out press releases and contacting social media influencers, trying to keep your name out there. The results just aren't as expected, Gary said. Elizabeth was so angry. She could have smashed everything in her office. But she tried to compose herself. She still had to rely on her staff, and she didn't want them to badmouth her. She couldn't understand what had happened. When she became famous, Logan handled everything for her. If Logan was trying to take it all back now, Elizabeth would be left with nothing. Elizabeth suddenly felt cold and numb. She dismissed Gary and gathered her things to leave. Elizabeth had been stunned when she heard about Violet and Garrett's contract. To add insult to injury, Garrett had left Elizabeth last night to go strike a deal with Violet, and now the news of the contract had been leaked and the story was everywhere. Everybody was again talking about Violet, not Elizabeth. Although all the rumors and stories insinuated Violet was promiscuous, they were still making Violet very popular. Many people touted Violet as a rebel. She actually had fans. It was infuriating. No one cared about Elizabeth's feelings. Even her own mother blamed her for not being able to easily get in to meet with Logan anymore. Miranda now had to make an appointment in advance, like everyone else. But Violet, of course, was always by his side. It was no wonder the Kingston family considered Violet their enemy. If the relationship between Logan and Violet was really getting serious, who knew what Violet was whispering into Logan's ears? She could put any thought in his head. Then what would she do? What would happen to the Kingston family? Most importantly, what if Logan told Violet about what happened 4 years ago? The more Elizabeth thought about it, the more afraid she became. Elizabeth, if you can't fix this, our family will be finished. Elizabeth thought of her mother's words the last time they'd spoken. If she had to pull off the idea her mother and Chloe had come up with, she would need Philly's help, so she asked her assistant to set up a meeting. Logan was furious with Garrett. If he had not insisted on signing the contract with Violet, none of this would be happening. Why did you do it? Logan stared coldly at Garrett. Well, you forced my hand, didn't you? Garrett wanted to add insult to injury. Logan narrowed his eyes and looked at his half-brother. You think too highly of yourself. If it wasn't for grandmother's insistence, I never would have collaborated with Lori Group in the first place. You don't have to have anything to do with Lori Group. Feel free to pull out of our deal at any time, Garrett replied. Then you will reconsider? Logan asked. I could, but I won't. Just think about all the free publicity we're getting. I'm very satisfied with this collaboration. Garrett smirked, feeling very pleased with himself. You should concern yourself with your own business, Logan, continued Garrett. I'm sure grandmother will have a few things to say about all this. Garrett thought it would be great if Agnes ran Violet out of Smith Group. If that happened, then Garrett would be able to take Violet under his wing and have her completely under his control. Garrett picked his jacket up off the sofa and put it on as he walked. If Violet was wrong, I will be there to swoop her up. After all, she's going to be my employee for the next 2 years. I won't give you the chance. Logan coldly pursed his lips. He found Garrett even more unpleasant than normal today. Then let's wait and see, dear brother, Garrett sneered. He turned to leave, and Logan didn't stop him. He had no interest in discussing this further. If it wasn't for his grandmother's insistence, he would have avoided Lori Group completely. Now he wouldn't be able to avoid them. Logan was going to do everything in his power to bring them down, and never give Garrett the chance to do anything like this again. Maybe his grandmother cared too much about past friendships, or perhaps she had underestimated her grandson. She always wanted to try and build a good relationship with Garrett. The business world was like a battlefield. There were few people who had your back and that you could trust. Why didn't grandmother believe the Gardner family was up to no good? Weren't their constant little tricks proof enough? But the most important thing right now was to find out why grandmother had gone to his house. Did it have something to do with the rumors online? Logan decided to pack up early and head home. "What do you want me to do, boss?" Corey could sense Logan was tense. "Nothing at the moment. Just keep an eye on things. If you need anything, contact me immediately. And keep an eye on the Gardner family." Corey and Logan had worked together for many years. He could practically read Logan's mind. Logan relied not only on his work, but trusted Corey with his life. Logan treated him like family. Corey was more of a brother to Logan than the man who had just left his office would ever be.